Here's some things that we want to do, and I got to be honest, there's so many things in this facility is huge. There's so many things in this facility. You get the luxury of sitting in here every week and being a part of the ministries of the church, but we're asking you, we're trying to be very strategic in what we're doing. And we have bathrooms all over this building. I'll be honest. None of this is going to be exciting to think about. We have you won't believe this, we have 16 or 18 different bathrooms in this facility. And here's a picture of one. And I showed it to Jonah, and we talk about with Jonah down in the student ministry area. And you know what happens over 25 years of using the same bathroom by hundreds of thousands of people using the bathroom all the time? It starts to deteriorate, starts to fall apart. And Jonah said this to me. I wrote it down because he said, Dad, pictures will tell a story, but the smell will tell a different story. So just go down there. So I can't bring the smell up here, but you can go down and look if you want. And all of our bathrooms are in physical disrepair. So we're going to take some money and fix up the bathrooms around our facility to make it inviting for guests to come in. We also know this, that today you actually are seated in a heated room because it's cold outside. But we have 27 different heating and air conditioning units in our facility, and they're in very big need of disrepair or of repair and replacement. We can't just repair them anymore. And so there's coming a day in March where we're going to have to pay a pretty significant amount of money so that we can have air conditioning next year. Heat seems to work okay right now, but something's coming. We have things like security issues. If you're ever here at night, you recognize that our parking lot lights and stuff are in need of upgrade. We need to move them over to LED just to save money on cost, but also because they're broken, can't repair them. We have some real security issues when it comes to protecting this facility. When you're not here, there's all kinds of people on our property. And they do things to our facility, and they take things from our facility. So we're going to do our best to upgrade some of our security things. But maybe one that has the biggest impact is this room. We've never spent much money on aesthetics in this room. And so Daniel Ortiz, a worship leader, he brought to our attention a designer guy, friend of his, and he drew up a picture of what our auditorium could look like if we just got the money to change out some carpeting and some paint. So here's a picture of what it could look like. Big difference. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Here's a couple variations of that. We know that in the auditorium, we not only want to upgrade the carpet and the paint, and because of what the monies that you've given to us, I had to go ahead and order the carpet to replace this green carpet that's falling apart at different places. Mainly because the costs we're going to raise will rise 18% over by the end of the year, I think is what the figure is. So I went ahead and ordered it. And based on the money that you've blessed Valley View with, we had the money to go ahead and do that. But it'll be replaced here quickly. There's a lot of things in here. We definitely want to move the baptistry down to a lower level. At some point, that may be a little long term. But that baptistry means so much to this church. Because in a couple of weeks ago, you got to see 15 people give their lives to the Lord. And we want it to be front and center so that everybody would be thinking about that when they come in here. But it didn't stop there. As this person, a friend of Daniel's, was talking to us, he talked about technology. And many of you know this. There's years ago, when you come to church, you would have you'd have one of these. Now, some of you are old enough to do that. Some of you are going, what kind of book is that? It's not the Bible. It's actually called a hymnal. This one's actually called the New Hymnal. But years ago, when we come into worship, somebody would stand up on stage and tell you to turn to a page, and then you would sing verse 1, verse 2, and verse 4. You always skip verse 3 for some reason. And you would sing from this. And I remember as a kid when that transitioned to this. Church still owns this. And you put little pieces of clear plastic on here. Somebody would type them out or write them out. And if you were sitting like way back there, good luck seeing it. because it was always kind of it was not square, it wasn't round. You didn't know what kind of shape it was, but you would try to sing whatever was on there, and they transitioned to that just to project words up there. And then it transitioned to things like this, and things were getting smaller, but you could hook up a computer to this, and all of a sudden you could project things on things like this and get an image, which you're benefiting from today, because even from this, we went to this during COVID, right after COVID, and we actually can use cameras now, project online so people can watch us around the world, and they do. But here's something really interesting. When we were talking with this gentleman about what Valley View could be, he said this: you need some LED panels to help magnify your message. And I realize some of you still love this. There's probably about 3 people in here that love this. There might be some of you going, why change? Why change? But you can see the transition over time. And here's a picture of what our stage could look like with a message. If we use our Legends series as an example. Because people watch us online, they watch us on an image about this big. When they come into here, they're like, not quite the same, a little different. We want people to experience some things. And here's my statement to you. Why am I asking you to sacrifice for something like this? I'm just asking you to invest in the next generation of Valley View. Because you don't know, you won't be around all the time. I'm just asking you to invest in the next generation. When these guys take over and we're gone, there'll be new technology. It changes all the time, you know that. But the message never does. And how we use technology is really critical. They're so used to screens, whereas people my age and even younger and even older, we're not used to that so much. But it's something that we can leverage for our message. We need to invest in them. We also need to invest in those people that are moving into our community. You realize how many people, I wish I could had time to give you all the stats. There's all kinds of people moving into our community. There are also people that are visiting Valley View that come in here, and not that they're antiquated, we just need to update and upgrade some things in order to expand and enhance some of the ministry opportunities that we have until Jesus comes, to be honest. The biblical term or the biblical concept for that is stewardship. Just taking care of what God has given to us. And as a church, our history as a church, that was one of the first times that we really borrowed money. Back in 2015, per se, we borrowed money. And we paid it back pretty quickly because we want to live debt-free. And we think that you do as well. So we want to be fiscally responsible, so we're not going to borrow money. We're just going to pay as we go. So whatever money you designate, whatever money you sacrifice for, as long as it takes, we'll spend what we get to upgrade our methods by which we do things, but not our message. Our message will always be the same. And to be honest, we have a timeline. Like we'll wait on you because we realize it'll take some time for you to sacrifice. But you know the times when people come to church the most? Christmas, Easter. By Easter of 2023, man, it'd be awesome to at least have this room transformed in some way. Some of our bathrooms fixed so that they're not broken, so they're not dangerous, to be honest. And just some things like that we want to do. So we want to build beyond. So we're simply asking this of you. The elders are praying. Staff is praying strategically. That's how we do things here. We ask God. So we're asking God, this is a big number. And this is just the beginning because we haven't touched the rest of the facility yet and the outside. But we're asking for the first $500,000. We're asking for $500,000. Not too big for God. Might be big for some of us. But it will require sacrifice. And it will require for you to say yes in some way. And so I'm simply asking you, will you sacrifice? In order for Valley View to be who God wants it to be. I wonder what God's promise to the city of Dallas is. That you and I will get to be a part of fulfilling with Him. I wonder what God's promise to this church called Valley View will be, that you and I will get to be a part of. That you're going to get to be a part of fulfilling something that was spoken long ago, and it could be fulfilled and done because of your generosity, and your name will get written into the story of God.